Well, hello everyone, and good evening. Welcome to Squid Junction at 99. We are so close to that big old 100. It is I, Mad Gamer the Second, and joining the mic is the one and only Shaded.
Yo, yo, yo. First time on the Squid Junction setup.
Heck yeah.
I'm excited to see these games today. We got Yakult, Takate, and Rose. We're going to be going into Robo Ramen zones. I'm excited to see it.
Oh, I know. Like,
I don't recognize either of these teams.
No, that's half of my Squid Junction experience, but like I'm starting to learn. But I was like watching the Splat War series this morning. It's almost a breath of fresh air because here's some of the map modes I recognize. You know, not the eel tail and bluefin 3 times over. It was super cool getting to watch those other comps, but this is something I'm a little bit more familiar with.
We're home. Robo Ramen is life. Robo Ramen is love. And Splat Zones is comfort mode for us all.
I'm so ready for it. I was
expecting to see a lot of slider today.
I was gonna say that
lots of reach slider.
I'm impressed by the amount of reach slider that have just been popping up lately. Not just like, you know, dapples are on the rise, but then also like the dread has been a lot popular recently.
Yeah, dread, dapples. I mean, some tournaments you're seeing vanilla S-Blast for some reason. Face that, I come like twice at Gommel. Get on my level, Canadian land. That was a really great time.
Heck yeah.
Shout out. Shout out Canada.
With the VS Blast, you get that combo of the sprinkler and the reach slide for ramen. At that point, you don't even need the pencil.
True. At that point, I think that is the one map I think I could excuse it, because you get the overpowered sprinkler setup and the slider.
Two for one combo. And just the AoE is so good. Yeah, exactly. But just the AoE is so good for like keeping control of the zone area, because you basically is the high ground, with the exception of like the 2 corners. Like you have to go uphill to get it from any of the flanks.
You can set up some devious sliders from either ramp and just annihilate anyone standing on the zone. There's a lot of potential when you do it from your snipe anywhere. The world is your oyster.
The world is your oyster. Oh, I remember I was talking about this with someone else too. Like, not only is the slider good for like getting into the zone, but like you were talking about the snipes and those corners, they're so powerful and just knocking people off that too, because it's so tight right there. You don't have a lot of room to get around it.
It's quite good. A real-time slider that you don't pop early, you can just paint someone's feet with the trail, trap them, and by that time it's too late, and you probably get some nasty chip damage on the rest of the team. Follow up with it. That's one healthy push right there. But we'll see what we actually get out of these 2 teams.
I can say, like, I know that Crab Tank doesn't get picked nearly as often anymore, but I feel like Ramen is one of the few maps where like it is insanely powerful, because it is almost directly countered by the reach slide, but it is so good for setting up on either of the snipes, whether you're like posted in your own trying to get in or just trying to push past to the enemies.
Yeah, a great like. There's so many good crab spots on this map. They get so much pressure to the entire zone. Anyone that's trying to push up your corner. Big fan of crab tank on this map. I actually run it, as you know, on a few times on occasion,
Oh yes,
and
oh
it
yes.
always puts in good work.
I think it's
Yeah,
extra nice
that's what I like
because
about
the
Robo.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say like the other thing that makes it nice is like it's a good counter for because you do get like we talked about pencil, but then also a lot of chargers have really good spots they can set up on. But then the crab tank is almost a direct counter for that as well because then. Especially, I've seen dualies and splash get played here, but then you're just able to kind of counteract those long-range backlines, get them from afar without having to really push in too far. And I think that is the main thing is like ramen doesn't allow you to overextend too much without getting punished. And so you almost want to keep that the kind of like the area directly around that zone.
Yep, you gotta have something to anchor yourself. But it looks like we are getting into game one. Let's see what these teams have to offer. An E
Ooh.
leader. Ooh,
Oh, speaking of
we are
backlines.
playing a game of Splatoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my goodness, both teams rocking the E-Leader. That's crazy. But then also, we talked about reslide. We have Rose over here
Here
with
it
two
is.
reslides coming in.
They were listening to us. They were like, "Oh, Reef Slider's good on this map. All right, let's do both."
If it's good once, it must be good twice. And they're already getting the first zone cap.
It's first zone tap, and they're immediately sliding up that corner, getting pressure up. They forced out the leader. They got a good pick. Get the leader set up. That's such a devious spot for an E leader to just stand and shoot the entire map.
It reaches so far. It just you can't really hide from it. Like
here comes the Kraken.
Except for the Kraken though.
Spot. The Kraken is a counter to an E leader standing right there. Take note, ladies and gentlemen.
As you can't really do anything against the Kraken running straight at you. Robo Robin, we got some Robo Shaded coming in. Oh, but we saw the other reslide coming out from Yakult, and like they have no. What are they running? That they didn't have the reslider. It looked like Rose ran a reslider, but then Yakult still managed to hold onto the zone. That was impressive right there, and then they already have the two members down off of Rose as well. See, this is kind of the position you want to be in right here, as we see Lex with the 96 like just posted on this corner because like you don't want to push up too far, but it's just like you have such a good position to keep them out right there. Oh, another reside coming in here. Rose is trying to find some sort of space to get in, but just the map control, the paint is too much for them right now. They had the one, but then didn't really have any follow-up with the reside, and so now we're going to tick down to 2, now 1, and that's going to be Yakult Tech 8 taking game 1 already.
Very quick game 1, as zones matches can be. Generally, we get a little more in between, but hey, it was a good game. We'll see how they adapt into game 2.
As a Ramen is one of those maps where it is like kind of one or the other. You don't either have a very stally map or you have a very landslide one. It depends on how well you're able to kind of break back in and how well the defense is set up. Like we saw the resliders coming out, but especially when it's coming from the dualies, like the dualies wasn't running a whole lot of the special power-ups, so they were just kind of flanking around on their own and didn't have team support to break back in. And that kind of, you need full team support to break in with Ramen. I feel like
that's you have to follow whatever special you're committing to zone.
100%. So, but
that's just how you play this map, yeah.
And it's going to contrast so much with the next one, like on Rainmaker Humpback. This is where you do want those crazy flanks, those crazy kind of ace plays where you can run around the map. And like as long as you're not letting the other team run too far with the Rainmaker, you can get around.
He wins it by themselves on the flank and walks up behind the enemy team is honestly criminal. There's a lot of fun stuff that I feel like people forget about on this map. There's still that 2 routes, and you're never going to take the Rainmaker left unless everyone's dead. Even then, probably don't do it. But, you know, send your shot player who just used their roll guy over there, see what they can get done while you're pushing it to the right, because that right corner is the way safer way to push in from. It can be hard to get out of that corner, but having the Rainmaker set up down there just past the checkpoint, you can just bide your time, bait out some specials. It's very hard for them to properly move you unless they get a really good booyah or some good strikes. You've got that cover from the wall to hide from any Zukas and the typical things that force people to move. And so it's really just a patience game until you can get your specials online and then push through that corner and get some good points going.
Oh, 100%. Ooh, but I think we both like the ballpoint pick coming out from Rose right there. It's like ballpoint is one of our old beauties, but I think like Inkjet legitimately is a really good pick for Rainmaker Humpback, because not only is it good for just targeting the Rainmaker, but then you also get that nice high ground advantage over a lot of these hills.
Yeah, ballpoint's very powerful on this map. You get really strong control from the snipes that you lose out on running something like a heavy edit, which is a lot more typical on these maps, but it still provides a way more powerful special. This was one of my favorite ballpoint maps to play on when I still ran it consistently, and we're going to see what they have to offer.
I would say like the Charger's kind of been picking them off, which is very typical in a Splatling Charger matchup, but like you said, the patience is so key here. They've been just holding back, not letting them get around this corner. Even though they took the checkpoint, they're playing it safe. They're not pushing too far in to go too much down.
Absolutely. That is this game. That is Humpback Rainmaker. The way you play this game is you bide your time, and then you absolutely explode, and we're just waiting for one of these teams to show what we got.
Yeah, 60, not a bad combo right there. That's literally just the checkpoint right there, so we see Rose picking it up. Still, ooh, and here's where I really like to see the Inkjet in play. And except the Charger said, no, sorry, we don't want that here.
Dude, that story of my life. Pop the Inkjet, E-leader, just death, instant death. But
but then they followed up with the Kraken too.
Ooh.
Just completely stop the Rainmaker before they get too close to it. Now see that we did like they got the 2 splats, but Rose is still here. They're not completely down. The strikes to come out, and they have look at the amount of map control they have here, so it's making it very difficult for Yakult Tekate, which I'm absolutely butchering. I apologize, but they can't really push in too deep because like look at how much purple there is. Like they are doing it, and then here comes the dualies to clean things up. Like just that is what you need. Is like you don't have a huge deficit just yet, so it's like okay, just let them run themselves dry.
Let them run out of resources. You do your chores. You paint up the map a little bit. You get your specials. You stay online. You just try not to go down. Stabilize so you can swing it back in your favor.
And right here, now Rose is looking for that opportunity. There is a couple on the left there. The line marker is just, oh my goodness, there is a bug on their windshield right now, just not letting them ignore it. And the leader as well. I'm curious, like they got the splat, but and here comes the 2 down. The Rainmaker did reset here, but just like with 2 members down like that, it's like they weren't even able to really push out past that corner. They're just all grouped up over there.
No, that corner is deadly. You get one good splat bomb. You have to play very specifically to take advantage of that cover that it has, or it can be very easily exploited. Just throw a bomb, like send your bucket in there, send an S-Blast, AoE, that just hits everybody, and it's scary.
Ooh, and we're seeing 3 down from Rose, and here comes the shot, just like you said, coming out from the left side. No, I'm sorry, that was the brush, even more deadly because it's so quick. They are so close. Oh my goodness. Oh no, there's the wipeout. That is the last thing you want to see on Rainmaker right there.
Brutal. A wipeout on Rainmaker can spell the difference between winning the game and then having a strong lead, and then just losing 60 points, and the enemy team just runs into your base.
Oh my gosh, but the Kraken though, the Kraken, I think like
this Kraken is putting in work.
That could have been the end of the game right there, but somehow Rose is still holding on. It's still back. The Rainmaker carrier is back, but like just punishing the Kraken and then dropping the Rainmaker immediately just is gonna get them at least another minute to hold things down. But they're on the front doorstep. Lex is just looking for some sort of opportunity. They do trade out with the ballpoint, but that is a really awkward space to be pushing that Rainmaker from.
The clock is running down, and they need to make a play happen here. still have to be patient and mindful of what they're doing, but now the pressure is on.
And so the key thing is like taking out the not only the leader, but just the fact that they have that Kraken as well. So they need to stop it before it can get the Kraken to basically end the game. Because once it starts chasing down the Rainmaker, they have to get the checkpoint, and that basically is like a magnet for them, so they know exactly where they want to go with it. But they do get the leader taken down. That's going to be 2 members of their own team. But like as long as they can take out the Charger, that's going to get them some safety and the checkpoint right here. So they have a little bit of time as long as they can pop it in time here. 2 seconds remaining. Bucket picks up and dodges the Charger Blast. That is going to be huge. Now all they got to do is dodge the strikes. And like you said, it's still patience game. They have until the Rainmaker explodes, but they got to play it patiently.
There is someone coming up to the left. This could be it. They left. They're abandoned. They're gone.
Oh my
You
goodness.
cannot be brutal.
No, absolutely. I think it was just like the 1v1 in mid there that they lost there, just opened it up for that 9-6 to get in.
Unfortunately, it just didn't. I think a 96 can be so brutal. If they hit you, it's tap tap, you're out of the game, buddy.
I was watching them earlier just because they were also getting some really nice fall-off shots over that wall. A lot because of the ballpoint, and especially a lot of other members of Rose, their only defensive cover is that kind of wall around the corner there, but the 96 did not care. I saw several times where they just lobbed some of their shots, and they were weak enough where just even one of them was able to take them down. So that is going to be Yakult taking the set with 2-0 right there and moving on. Very well played.
Very good games, very interesting watch, and I had a good time. I hope both teams don't get discouraged, and hopefully Yakult can roll that in, and we'll see what they do further on in the tournament.
It looks like they're going to be facing off on Punks next in, it looks like, winners semis. But until we get that set up, we're actually going to be watching Lego Fortnite and potentially the winner of Clanker Farming and the Lion. Let me see if that match has been decided. And it has been. It is going to be Lego Fortnite versus Clanker Farming coming up next. Until then, we are going to be going to a short break. Stay tuned. Stay hydrated. We'll be right back.
See how that goes. See ya.
Alrighty, what is up, Squid Squadron? We are back with Squid Junction 99. We got two amazing team names coming in here. We got Lego Fortnite and Clanker Farming. Now, these two teams are pretty interesting. Obviously, don't know everyone on the team, but I know a lot of names like Ezio and Tame from Clanker Farming, and I've seen Hayden around in Sendo Q, so I'm excited to see what everyone pulls out. I know Ezio is a pen player, very good, very annoying to face on land as a heavy edit splatling. But he is a chill guy. I can't wait to see what team comp he's running. I don't really know what the other people play, but yeah, we'll see what we got.
I was looking at Ezio's profile in Sendu. I forgot that they're also part of 80 Crit Crit, which is an all-wiper team. So I remember I've commentated for one of their matches too, and that they go crazy, bro.
I have not seen 80 Crit Crit in action. Who knows? Maybe that's what we're gonna see today. Maybe the pencil is a lie. Maybe we're gonna see 4 wipers.
I was gonna say they do have another backline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know how to pronounce their name, but they have a pen and like charger main on their team as well, so they could go either way. They could swap between the two of them. And I know I was looking at like a Fortnite, like they have 2 Gal users as well, so there's a lot of overlap and flexibility we've been seeing from these two teams.
Yeah, both these teams fairly high level. Looks like we're sitting around Div 2 level from about everyone's a little bit of variation, but yeah, we got a lot of good players coming in. Yeah, I do see we've got 296 players, although they do have a pocket custom blaster, so we'll see as pickups go. Who knows what they could be playing? I could all be playing Bamboo for all we know. But I'm expecting to see a good game here on that's not Robo Ramen, on Umami Zones. Now, personally, I'm a big fan of Umami. I don't think it really matters the map unless it's tower. Not a big fan of tower. But zones and clam blitz are really fun, and Rainmaker is fun every time you get it, like that one game when you're doing the X rotation right before it closes. And you're like, I've had my fill of Rainmaker, but that was pretty funny. But I don't know, I feel like Umami is a sleeper map. I feel like it doesn't get talked about a lot, but I always have a good time here.
I know there's a lot of controversy simply because it has a dual zone. I know not everyone likes the dual zone because it makes things a little bit more stally. It's a little easier to kind of stop the team from running too far away of it. But that's also part of its charm, because I know zones is one of those maps where if you get a lock hard foothold, and I think Umami can be one of those maps where you just get a really good foothold, but because it's a dual map, a dual zone, it kind of evens things out a bit because you just got to go for the one zone. But then on the flip side, you don't get any points until you get both zones, and then you kind of got to fight for that too. So it goes a lot of back and forth. It's very hard to like get a runaway push on this map mode.
Yeah, I think that's honestly, some see it as an annoyance of the map. I personally am a fan of that. It kind of makes you play Splatoon a little bit differently. We're so used to the, we cap the zone, let's slider the zone, we've stalled them out, we've used these specials to come out to it. But no, on here, you got to play differently. You have to send 2 coordinated pushes, or at least fully secure one zone before you push over to the next one. You can't just cheese it. And I know, I mean, everyone gets annoyed with dual zones, myself included. But I do think it is a strength to have a couple of them in the rotation. And yeah,
it's a shame we only have Manta and Umami right now. I would love to have Reef back. That was
Reef
one of
would
my
be pretty great.
peak splatling map right there. The other thing though is, like you were talking about, it does make you have to play differently. I think like a lot of top players, they're already looking to take the team fight rather than just like go for the zone, but it's still like double zones, you have to take the team fight and win. You can't just, like you said, reslide in and cheese just get the zone. You have to be a little more strategic about it. But going back into here, ooh, we do see the pencils coming out.
Shake up. We got pencils on either side, and Ezio is rocking the splatter shot. We didn't even consider that completely out of left field.
That was not even in the question.
Splatter shot. What is this?
I say it makes sense. So they do have Vincon on the new sticker stamper, which is also a very strong choice. Between that and the S-Blast, I have double Buoy Bomb coming out, which is great for that displacement.
Big fan of pushing. Unfortunately, did not work out on the entry, but they have a lot of retake power. They're getting a couple down. Their pencil goes down, which is really nice. That gives them the opportunity to push in. Gonna fight with that junior. But that Booyah gets popped.
Both of these teams are running a very similar comp, like the same formula, just kind of different styles, different tastes right there. You know, we have the shot. Yeah, exactly. Some different flavors. We got the shot on the one side and then Junior on the other. And I think that kind of the offense versus defensive take, like, is it a rock hard defense or is it going to be a strong offense that's going to win the game? And this matchup is kind of going to decide that for us.
Yeah, right now we're kind of looking at chocolate and strawberry, 2 of the default flavors. We got a pencil, we got a AoE, we got a sword, but they're a little different. Like, the key differences, and we got both the swords, like you said, but it looks like chocolate might be winning here. I don't know. Unfortunately, they're not able to get back in, and they might just paint it out. The S-Blast is on the right zone. Can they stop the flip? They are able to get that flip from the side of Lego Fortnite. And now we have a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen.
I was just supposed to say they were going to prove me wrong and take it 100-0 right there, but finally Clanker Farming does swoop in to cap the zone, both of those zones, to just give them some time, give them some penalty, make Lego Fortnite sweat a little bit here. But unfortunately, they are still on the back foot. The Zipcaster here looking for something, doesn't find it, but just does get caught out on the rebound there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Lego Fortnite is sweating. It's just not in the nervous sort of way. They are locked in. They are staying together. They are taking amazing fights. Luckily, we do see a little push coming in here from the side of Clanker Farming. We've got people jumping in to Ezio. Are they going to be able to secure that? They got Azuka coming out. We got the sword goes down. All right. Pushing in. They have very little breathing room here. That sword is inside them. Holy. But they are able to secure, and this time it looks like they're going to get more than 1 point because they secured that zone very well. They still have specials online. They have a Booyah Bomb coming out from Ving Con, sorry. And let's see what it does. Pressures them in.
I say the junior is definitely putting in a lot of work. I feel like that is such a huge factor for how Lego Fortnite was able to hold for so long because the junior wasn't dying too often. Like we had the aggression coming from the S-Blast and the sword, but when it was not until the junior really went down that Clanker Farm finally are able to kind of get in and get these fights that they really want to have. You know, and finally they're getting a chance to get those fights. And again, the junior going down right there. That's going to be the bombs and the paint out of the way. And then there goes the sword there.
And here it is, the DC on the side of Lego Fortnite, and that is not something you want to see. However, they are still holding their own. They are constantly one down, but right now they're pretty even, surprisingly. But now the jumps are back in.
They're in a good position because they have a really good lead. All they got to do is kind of last for the next minute. Even if they get one cap, that's going to be so huge for them because they're going to apply quite a bit of penalty. But
and the junior is just putting in a lot of work right now.
Exactly. So just the junior, keeping that junior alive is going to be so crucial here. Just if they're able to keep painting that zone like they are, get a bubble in there, they could be golden. But Clanker Farming is making it very difficult.
Booyah right coming out on the side. They are able to cap, and ladies and gentlemen, the game is not over despite of the DC. They are still up. They're still alive. The mom of the group, the junior, is just putting in all the work. Unfortunately goes down, but it's not over. The Clanker Farming hasn't even recapped the zone yet. They're just running around chasing that S-Blast. Pencil goes down. This is incredibly close, Mad.
This is, oh my gosh, they have 3. That junior just took a fight with a,
wow.
What was it, the sword right there in their own bubble.
Brutal splat bomb
oh my god.
from the junior. Oh my
MVP
goodness.
right now. And 10 seconds ago, like they are literally about to keep this even with the player down right now. Because there's not enough paint, there's not enough specials on the side of like a Fortnite, I'm sorry, Clanker Farming to break back in. So they're just literally going to paint them out and just win the game right there. That's awesome.
That is an unfortunate way for a match to go, but luckily it still played out how it was expected to before the DC. They did not let the disconnect get to them. And no shade on the side of no shade on the side of Clanker Farming. They were putting in a lot of work. They were taking good fights. It's just they got a little cocky once that disconnect happened, and unfortunately for them, Lego Fortnite did not lose their cool at all.
No, like, and that's kind of the mentality you want right there. Is they're able to like see that they have a player down, but still keep on fighting, look for the opportunities, not go too far in. They didn't overcommit. They knew exactly how much time they had left, and they waited for the opportunity to kind of push in. And once we saw the members of Clanker Farming going down, that's when we really saw Lego Fortnite get aggressive, really try to push in with that. And it worked out. Like, just getting the one zone cap gave them so much extra time that by the time the match was ended, they were in full control of both those zones.
That was a nail-biter. They got it down to 6. I thought all hope was lost once that junior died, but the teammates got them a jump in and allowed the junior to set up in zone, once again securing that penalty. And even though they capped right after that, they still had like 60 seconds of penalty to get through, and so that completely shook up the game. Lego Fortnite did a really good job of just knowing they were playing a 3v4. They were constantly playing one down. They weren't playing, because I think often what happens is when a disconnect happens, you usually check out and try to end the game. But at that point, it was way too far gone. We were in like the last minute and a half. Lego Fortnite pushed it down to 3. They are not getting that free reset of the match. And so they knew that, and they took that, and they're like, all right, guys, we're playing 3 down. We're not playing a 4v4 anymore. We're not going to have this extra help. What are we going to change to adjust for that? And they started playing a lot slower, but not giving up space. They played a lot more reserved to get specials online and get bombs going, but that was excellent. I don't think I've ever seen a match go that well with a disconnect and not just be a stomp.
And I think you nailed it right in the head there, like pulling back but not giving up space. And that is a very crucial point for a lot of these maps. I think it's going to be an extra crucial point for this next one coming up. We have Clampless and Barkle and Diamond. This is a map where you really can't afford to give up that space because of once you get into the snipe area in your own space right there, it's such a chokehold that if the enemy team sets up too far, it's very hard to break back in. But now we're going to be seeing Clanker farming. They're, oh my goodness, they just
It
got
looks
a
like they're
wipeout
due
right off
for
the
their
rip.
wipeout. I think they were a little upset about how that last much, and they've taken that, and they're rolling that into a big old clams push. Unfortunately, the sword on the side of Lego Fortnite is slicing and dicing. Absolutely phenomenal plays. Pencil
I think,
is
like,
holding their ground. King Von locks us in. Gets that safe jump out while the team comes in to shore him up.
Dang, that was unfortunate because they had such a good opening right there, but I think that they were almost too fast for their own good because they didn't have enough power clams or enough clams spawned in to get the power clam going. So by the time they were ready to set up, like a Fortnite was already back from spawn, and now they're getting their opportunity to break in, and they do have a power clam
And they go
ready
3
to
down
go.
on the side of Clanker Farmings. This is gonna be a basket open. They are a little broke as Clanker Farming was, but they do get that power in, and now they have a setup. They've got that junior just in that brutal position where they can just rain down paint and bombs. Unfortunately, it does get forced out to move, and that basket is going to close. But that was a push.
They got it down to 68, which is definitely what you're looking for in an opening push. You want to get it past kind of that 70 mark. Just it make things a little bit more difficult for the return push. But Lego Fortnite, they're not even allowing a return push. They already have a power clamp, and they
Just
haven't
because the
left
basket
base.
closed doesn't mean they have to leave. They're like, we're not getting
Exactly.
kicked out until you make us. Pop a special, throw a Zuka, throw a stamp at us. We're still not leaving.
They are holding strong. They do end up losing the power clamp though. Clanker Farming saw them setting up. They're like, nah, we're not ready for a second push to hit. So Payne's gonna be swapping back. Ooh,
And
another
the
3
double
down.
from the brush. Can it make a triple? Yes, that is another wipeout for Clanker Farming, and the basket is open, the clams are flowing, and they've got a Zipcaster coming out. This could be devious, man. Oh my
absolutely.
goodness, that pencil was having none of that. Scratch that. Strike that from the record. H is cooking. Insane plays. The ball doesn't go in. And that's a
Not quite
reverse
able to get
wipeout.
that in.
Holy.
And they do take the wipeout too, which is not going to be great for them because we already Fortnite setting up for their return push. It's just if they can, yeah, you take out the stamper right there, get a couple more spots, and then they do manage to break it in. But with the 2 members down here, that might be a bit of a wash for them right there. It depends how well is like a Fortnite going to be able to take some of these fights here. And they do manage to get the 3 down, but it's too late for the basket.
Too late for the basket, but they are still holding strong in front of that basket. Just because they had a clam doesn't mean they're leaving. Once again, the house party don't stop. We got that ball going back in. The zip pass casters popped on the side of Lego Fortnite, just chopping it up. And now they have clams. It's down to 30, down to 24, 21. This is scary for Clanker Farming.
Oh, and they have another 3 down right there. There's just the pencil remaining, and we see from the map here just how much green ink is out there. And this was kind of what I was talking about before: is you let them too far into the base, and you have this snipe area. You got the pencil set up on that corner, and it's just so hard to break back out. We're just getting so many good splats right here.
Absolutely insane. That
Now it's
pencil
just
got
gonna
2 jumps into them in mid, by the way. Their whole team died and immediately came back to the pencil and kept that pressure up.
And they already have another ball, and they are just bringing in all the points. This might be the first time they're slowing down here with the 3 down here.
It
S
looks
Blast
like it.
is going to be hunted down as well. But that's still a huge amount of points for Clank Farming to make up in this last minute. It's just going to be, can they replicate what Lego Fortnite just did to them and keep the space?
It's not impossible. They've got a lot of economy going on. They've got 2 balls in play, and they have that one sitting in spawn for the emergency uses only. Oh, and unfortunately the Zipcaster goes down to the S-Blast, and now they are securing the mid. They still have 2 balls in total, so that's all they need. They just need that and a couple more clams to even up the game, but will Lego Fortnite give them that opportunity?
So they do have the economy, but I think they're having trouble just kind of finding this blast to break in, and they potentially, Lego Fortnite going to claw the game right there, not even get a chance to use those 2 power clams they had right there. I think just when clanker farming, they pushed in, they were ready to go, but just what they had when they were successful is when the brush was able to rush in and get some splats. We saw, but then that second and third couple of times, just both the stamper and the brush try to find something, but just were punished for it, and so that just left them with half their team, and they weren't quite able to regroup from that. So just continuing, like a Fortnite was able to just keep pushing back in and again, and kind of stall things out until they get their points in.
And yeah, that's going to be a done deal for this set, LEGO Fortnite 2.0 to Clanker Farming. I'm excited to see what these players can do. This is a very, very cracked team, as we've seen.
Mm-hmm. And we did see like the breakout from Clanker Farming, but once again, just LEGO Fortnite had kind of the patience and the fortitude just to kind of lock things down. Like they didn't really get crumble from the amount of aggression coming up from Clanker Farming, but they were able to kind of wait for their opportunity and recap once again. And so I think that is like goes to show just the fortitude of your team is not necessarily the opening, but how are you able to close out the game?
Yeah, and that is what LEGO Fortnite showed us time and time again. We had a very scary opening on that Clams match. They all went down, but they didn't let that shake them. They didn't let that throw them off. They came back ready to fight, and they fought that whole game, tooth and nail. They did not give up space unless they absolutely had to, and that's what we need. We need people to play aggressively and not be scared to take a fight to hold some space. We don't want somebody jumping all the way back to spawn if they don't have to. If you can stay there, shoot someone in the face with your S-Blast, do it.
And then you can jump back.
Get those juicy direct sounds. Then you can jump back.
Goodness, but congrats to LEGO Fortnite. Congrats to LEGO Fortnite. That's going to put them in finals versus Yakult Tech 8, which we just saw in the previous set. So they're going to be hashing out. They're choosing their band maps right now. But for the meantime, we're going to be going to a short break as they set up. So stay tuned and stay hydrated, and we'll be right back. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to your winners finals. We have Yaddle Toddle, I mean Yakul Ticket, which is we just saw earlier, and then we have Lego Fortnite, who we also just watched take down Clanker Farming. But once again, it is I, Mad Game the Second, joined by the one and only Shaded.
I'm ready to watch Yogurt and Fortnite fight on Robo Ramen Zones. This is why we play the game of Splatoon, I think. Except, I have a little secret. We've got a sneaky little E-leader on the side of Yakult Tekket facing off the Pencil, who also might be a leader player. Who knows? Sendu could be lying. But we'll see how this plays out. I've never really gotten to see this interaction because I don't play E-leader. I also don't play Pencil. So we're going to see how this matchup actually goes on Ramen. I know Pencil is brutal on Ramen. It's got the overpowered sprinkler spot. It's got the awesome uninkable little block area that you can walk on. Big fan of that area, even if the Pencil gets to stand on it better than Heavy Edit does. But I'm excited to see this. Again, one of my favorite maps. We saw it earlier in the stream. This is a very good zones match. And let's see how it goes out.
I was gonna say we were placing bets in the VC earlier whether they would, because we have a ban system going, right? You have 7 maps. Each team gets to pick one where they don't want to play. Rainmaker Humpback was just thrown out the window immediately. Neither team wanted that. Lego Fortnite actually banned, was it Barnacle Clam over Clamblets? Or I'm sorry, Crab Leg Clamblets, which we were super surprised about. But you were just talking about the Pencil being strong on Ramen. I feel like Crab Leg is another strong Pencil map. It might have trouble against the leader that we saw.
That is what I'm thinking, and I'm interested to see how that plays out. Generally, in my brain, you've got the leader. It's a railgun. It'll shoot you from across the map. You're gonna cry. But Pencil can afford to stack a lot more run speed. But that's not relevant right now. You don't need run speed on Umami, and by Umami I mean Robo Ramen. And once again, we are seeing the leader, and we are seeing the sticker stamper, which was not played in the last set. So I'm interested to see how this plays out.
Actually, I think this is going to be huge because I forgot that Lego Fortnite, they do run Mondi on that Junior, which is a really great just space holder, but also the Bubbler in particular is going to get great against that leader because it's going to kind of deny a lot of space for a while. The only thing they have to watch out for really is the brush from Cali right there on Tech 8, just because, especially on this map, they can just run around to their heart's content and just really get you from unawares. But it is going to be Yakul Teke who is going to be taking the first map control, the first zone control, while Lego Fortnite is looking for a way in.
Yeah, and Lego Fortnite's probably crying right now because it's the second set in a row that they've had to face a brush. I'm sure they're not super happy about that. But this time, we've got the vanilla brush instead of that brush nouveau with the stamp. And we're going to see how that plays out. Seems to be playing out pretty good, but they've got him on the back foot now. They had a very amazing opening push, but that single mom junior breaking their back for the team right now, putting in the Lord's work, throwing splat bombs, getting a special. This is going to be a brutal bubble, by the way. Get ready to just flip this chat.
So they're going to have to watch out for the strikes, but just having the junior up in that corner there, like I said, was absolutely brutal. Just to keep that corner to themselves, but they don't even care. They just cap a zone right underneath their feet.
Yeah, guys, don't worry. Just go fight them. I'm going to paint the zone by myself. This is fine. I'm a junior.
Oh my goodness, and they do take it right back. They do have to watch out for the brush coming in from the right side there, but I think like they have a lot of map control. They have some space, but no, the junior going down, and the brush taking out the stamper as well. That is going to give Yakult so much space to work with, so much room to just start pushing in. They already have this map purple.
A family torn apart. They killed the junior. It's over. Just kidding. They do not care. They are going to come back with it. They've got specials online. They're close to a cooler. They've got a booyah, so we can push back in with it. But they are popping out the whales on the side of Yakult, and they are not letting them get in the zone for free.
I was going to say, Lego Fortnite is rocking 2 booyah bombs as well, so that is double the amount of get off me tools. And Smiley Face already taking the splat on the bucket here. And One Shot's having to back up with the crack and gets canceled out.
Oh, brush jump scare from the heavens. Do they know?
See it. I don't think they even saw it. It just came out of nowhere.
No, I don't blame them. That's like having a bird like dive bomb onto you. You don't know where that's coming from.
Ooh, but they're really close. Like a Fortnite close to taking that lead back. And with the 3 members down, that is going to be the lead stop right there. And potentially they can take this all the way to the KO.
This could be a KO.
Ooh. All the way in their base here. Smiley Face on the Stamper. They are just putting in all the work right now. The only thing that can stand between them and victory now is those strikes.
That Junior's out for revenge. Oh my goodness. They say, no thank you. I'm going to walk into your base. I'm going to die. I'll be honest, I'm going to die. But I'm back with the bubble on the corner to close out the game.
Is that they just really diverted all those resources. Like, they had to get to the zone. And they didn't have those strikes yet. Like, the bucket was literally running into 1v1 the zone carrier. And they could not go around the corner because of that bubble. Because of that Junior. Just like, you can't touch it. And there's going to be bombs just dropping at your feet every single second you try to get there. And just time ran out for them, and Like a Fortnite took this first game.
Oh boy, I can't wait to move the devious Junior player with splat bombs and feet paint. Grins. That was a very fun game to watch. Both sides never really let the other one fully dominate until the end, where it did happen. There were times where they were both pushed onto their back feet, but they were able to recover pretty well. Colt sending that brush off to just like absolutely decimate people in a back alley. That looking like Crime Alley. Bruce Wayne's parents are dead right in front of him, and the brush player is running back to zone to paint up.
I say we did like that is the one thing between the pencil and leader matchup. Like, the leader is really scary if it can see you. The pencil doesn't necessarily need to 1v1 the leader. They just got to paint the zone. They just got to throw their sprinkler and just keep the rest of the space the leader is not looking at. And I think that kind of paid off for them. Once again, like a Fortnite, really good at just keeping space, keeping patient, and taking space as they need it. They're not overextending. They're not pulling back too far, but they're right where they need to be the whole match.
Absolutely. Unfortunately for E-Leader, farming up a Wave Breaker or a Kraken is not going to have the same impact as just... And also, it's going to take like 12 business days to charge their shot. It's sure it paints a lot in one shot, but then they have to do it again. So they're not getting a lot of whatever it is the special they have. Pen's just like, pew, 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 cooler time. Everyone come get your drinks. So... that is interesting, and I'm interested to see what comes out on tower control. I'm sure the pencil's sticking. Absolutely, there he is.
No, absolutely.
Is the leader? Ooh.
Leader's going to be sticking.
Right.
I feel like this is going to kind of play more into what they want to do, because the pencil can't really afford to stay back because the tower's going to be coming straight at them. And now the leader not only has the space to play around, like to have the range to actually be oppressive, but then they can continually push forward and be aggressive.
Yeah,
and the beacons don't hurt either.
And we're immediately seeing that from the side. It's not looking too horrible. They're both 2 down, but Colt is keeping that pressure up. They've got jumps in on the side of Fortnite. Multiple jumps, and it looks like they died, and we're like, yeah, let's just try that again. They're immediately back, getting that trade with the bubble on the tower. Aggressive Junior gaming hours. You love to see it.
I said, this is one of those maps where really the recovery is so huge. On the one side, we have the E-Leader with the beacons, but then the Junior, once again, the Junior having the bubbler, and just the way that them playing allows their teammates to jump back in. But right now, it is going to be a Colt finally going to be taking control of the tower to that first checkpoint. And here we go. We're actually seeing a Gal for the first time. We talked about the dual Gal. Now we're seeing one, and they're just blocking them on that bridge like they're a troll.
Yep, get that wall up. You can't come here, pop the whales. You're going to cry. Unfortunately, it looks like the ones crying right now are going to be a Colt because they were able to stop that push. They did get past that first little, right up to that check, but no progress was actually made on it.
No, even with like all the players they had down on that bridge, I think there was a couple of other players from like a Fortnite coming around the side here. And the Junior, oh, there's that bubbler, and this is exactly where they want to pop it, is right here.
Yep, they're going to go pop that on that corner. Yeah, this is a brutal bubble spot. Anywhere just right in the middle or on that corner. They got past that checkpoint. They don't even need it for the corner, so they can just put it here. They just get to put it wherever they want. Maybe they should have put it down before they died, but it kind of doesn't matter. They just got the longest checkpoint on this map, and that opens up a lot of opportunity for LEGO Fortnite. Although, again, the brush is just, like, just killing people. They're just walking up, they're smacking them in the face. It's pretty sweet. Rush hours.
I was gonna say, LEGO Fortnite, they were kind of waiting for, like, the right opportunity to... Oh my goodness,
What
the bomb whale combo.
The bomb whale, and it right back at you. Right back at you. They're like, don't kill my kids. I'll throw a splat bomb to you. We got the strikes that take out that bubble. They're pushing it back forward. They are not going to be able to stop that check from popping, but they might be able to stop the lead. Maybe a little greedy to go for that, because now they are one down and they are not close to that. Actually, never mind, they had cooler. They're still just as close to that bubble. Unfortunately, they just went down, and that's what I was talking about. But the sword is killing people, so it looks like everything worked out in the end. I would say so. Yeah, they wiped out. I'm going to say that worked out.
Yeah, it looked like... my first thought was like, oh, they're overextending here. They're just rushing up the tower, but it kind of did work out. Like, they got this blast when then the sword came to follow up the bucket. I think that was key right there. The bucket went in seemingly alone, but then they had a teammate immediately ready to kind of follow them up here. Now here's, yes, strikes
really
and
strikes and the booyah, the level. That area, there's no one up there. And yet, the little devious gal is still standing in that corner. Somehow he survived like a little cockroach and was able to secure the kill, and now they're back on their back feet again. Can they secure the kill against the junior? They can.
So the only critique I'd have of that placement of both the strike and the blue bomb, you kind of double up. You had almost too much firepower on that one corner.
They doubled up and they didn't even hit that tiny little section that the gal was ratting in, unfortunately.
And so just they didn't have any more resources for the rest of the team that was coming from the other side here. And so that is going to give... Well, they do manage to knock out half that checkpoint. LEGO Fortnite having a very nice lead right here. Now it's going to be Yakult with a lot of recovered paint control right here. And with the leader out there and a bubbler of their own, like, they are looking for this space. They're looking for these splats.
Unfortunately, LEGO Fortnite had some devious characters lurking in the pit, waiting for that guy to walk over and protect their pen. Will the brush make it out? It's a brush. Of course it does. It's going to run away. It's Sonic the Hedgehog. Ladies and gentlemen, I know they're not on the blue team, but that is Sonic. It's running around, and let's see what fun plays they get up to. Unfortunately, they're dead. They got killed. The sword got them. The sword coming for us all.
I say it's so tough. Like, you have the speed of that brush here, and they're doing a really good job of like just juking everyone. But it's like it's very hard to really outmatch a sword on this map because they sit in mid and they can outrange you. If you don't dodge every single one of their shots, they will finally take you down. Now we are down to
5 seconds. We got the Kraken. Oh
exactly.
shoot!
10 seconds, no, 1 second, and they have to hold on to this tower the entire time. They cannot afford to lose it at this point here. And there's GG strikes online for
the leader is having a little struggle getting on the tower, and here comes the junior. Goodbye. That is the classic overtime play in Splatoon. They hold the strikes, and they send in the shooter to just climb up on the tower.
That's the last thing you want to see. And I think once again, LEGO Fortnite knew what their game plan was because they really rushed down the tower the first time that Yakult came around, but then that second time, like, no one was in the pit, no one was in mid. They were just waiting for the time of the match to run out and then just kind of throw the strikes out and just rush the tower then. Very well executed. I think that was definitely the smart play that they wanted to do, and so that gave them that game 2 right there.
Yeah, that was a very strong showing from LEGO Fortnite. Definitely, the Yakult did not back down from that fight. The gal and the leader on this map is a little bit of a devious combo. Because the gal can just hold, they just pick a spot, they're like, I'm going to hold this, I'm going to be here forever. And the leader can kind of just be that eye in the sky, locking everything down. And that did play into their advantage for a while. Unfortunately, LEGO Fortnite, my third favorite way to play Fortnite, was able to break through their defense.
Very true. And it's not over yet. We do have one last match before LEGO Fortnite can take home the set. It is going to be on the clams of Crab Leg. Someone else mentioned this, but just like Crab Leg and Clambless are so synonymous. It is so easy to just mix up the two of them. But it is Clambless on Crab Leg. And like I was surprised that Fortnite, they did so well against the leader comp that we saw on Tower Control. They're just gonna have a field day on Crab Lake. They're gonna have so much good time with it. I think the main thing they're gonna have to watch out for is really the Kraken itself, because that is kind of the wall breaker that can get through the ramp where most of the pushes tend to happen.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the set had gone off, and honestly, I was thinking that the leader was just going to dominate, and that's still very possible. This is a very, very good map for E-Leader, but honestly, at a certain point, how much range do you really need? The pen can already hit into those places and fight wherever you want to on the grates. The pen can afford to run speed to actually run around and be way more mobile than the leader can. I'm smelling that H is cooking up something delicious, and I can't wait to see what it is.
Ooh, okay. So we're gonna be seeing the S-Blast swapping out for the custom blaster. Interesting. Because that's gonna bring it the points into the splashdown. That's not what I would have expected, because that kind of gets rid of that Booyah Bomb. Well, I guess they have the other Booyah Bomb, but that's one less tool to kind of break that chokehold to get to the basket.
To me, that reads that they're going to be trying to play on the grates a lot more, because if they were just playing to walk up the ramp, which low-key might just happen right now, no. But you want the Booyah to push through that front route. You don't really want that when the other place you can push is all grates. What are you going to do, throw it beneath them or hit the block? Like, it's not impossible, but it looks like they're planning on having a little bit more mix-up than just walking up the ramp like a bunch of lemmings. And they have a splashdown when they're in this position to kind of keep them going, keep people off of them. We're going to see them push down to about 62, 63. Wow, that pencil got a lot more clamp. 50 points. Yeah, that pencil got a lot of work done.
I say that was an insane push. I don't think they popped a single special to take the first basket. Like you said, they had them ready. Did they really? I was going to say, the pencil got two right off the ramp there and just walked up and threw a power clam in. But already Yakult is coming in with the repush. They have they only have the one power clam because the Kraken is out there, so they can't really hold it themselves. So got to be stopping right there, surprisingly enough, but still maintaining their map control. I think that is important there too.
Yeah, very nice snipes coming out from one shot. And that's really what they need to do. They had a very electric Kraken. Unfortunately, the rest of their team was a little broke. They kind of checked their pockets for the clams, and they're like, oh, we out of clams. But they have not lost control of mid, notably. But they did just get... Did they get another ball in? Yes. I was like, did they just walk around and score their goal? No, they were able to get one in. But again, not much follow-up. Is this just going to be death by 1,000 little paper cuts? Just keep throwing the power clam in.
With the combination of the leader and the brush, you can literally keep the rest of the team in mid and just maintaining map control like they're doing, but literally throw the brush around when you're not expecting it and throw another power climb in. And that's exactly what they did. They, like you said, they could just keep on.
And now again, and the Kraken to follow it up with, they actually have economy this time. The brush is in, but broke, and this is the time that their immutable defense actually falls down. Because that is a delayed wipeout on the side of the Colt. And now Lego Fortnite, they're itching for some clams. I see that. Here comes Ray with the blaster. Goes down to the leader. That's a crazy shot, but unfortunately another wipeout, and they've got a lot more pressure than I think your Colt can answer immediately.
That is a
pencil coming in, and that's gonna be GG's. Yep, I didn't even see that ball, but that's gonna be it.
They were prepping that super jump ready to go, and all I had to do was hit the A button when they landed, and that was game over right there. Lego Fortnite taking third match for a nice 3-0 for winners finals right here.
Yep, so far Lego Fortnite undefeated, if I'm not mistaken, and I think at that point they're done. They didn't want to. They were like, stop scoring power clams, no more brush, our turn. And they're like, no more of that, please. And so they will not be going to Mako Zones or Tower Control Haggle. We'll be seeing them in the finals.
Yes, so it looks Lego Fortnite will be holding out in grand finals and sending Yakult Ticket down to losers bracket, where they will have to fight their way up amongst the others. We see Clanker Farming is still down there. Rose is still down there. And then we also have two other teams, which we have not seen on stream yet. Sea Punks and the Lion also duking it out. But yeah, there's going to be a fight to see which of these teams is able to kind of bring their way back and meet like a Fortnite in Grand Finals. But until then, we're gonna be going to a short break. But I think this is gonna be it for Shaded here on the comms. So, my friend, where can the good people find you?
Driving in my car on the way back from the Renaissance Festival for one thing. That won't happen again. But you can find me on Twitter or Blue Sky at the Shaded One. I'm not super active on there, but if you see me, say hello. Look for me in your X battles. I've been grinding the game out, trying to get some high power.
Heck
and look out for me in your dreams or your nightmares.
So you can also find us at Riptide this year. Drive with Influence, aka Downshift.
Downshift.
Going into 5th gear for Riptide this year. So looking forward to that. But in the meantime, stay tuned and stay hydrated because we'll be right back.
Stay dehydrated.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Squid Junction 99. It is I, Mad Gamer II, and I am joined by the one and only Sasu. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
I am doing so great. I'm so excited to be watching the 99th Squid Junction and also being on the mic with you, Imad. This is crazy. I feel like we're both around each other, but we're never both on the mic at the same time. So I'm super excited.
Just kind of like in proximity, but never actually meeting. It's crazy.
Like I said, we're like passing ships in the night. But finally, those ships meet. Hopefully, they don't collide. They just very gently
Just run straight into each other.
Yeah. We have finally collided and we have exploded. And on that explosion comes from the ashes Sea Punks and Clanker farming, which I fear may need like an asterisk for the A or something like that. Clanker. Clanker. I feel like that's like a rude name for robots. Like, I guess they're calling Sea Punks or their opponents just bots.
Oh my goodness, you're so right.
They're like, listen, turn the aimbot off. Like, we're farming.
We're farming out here, and we did see Clanker farming in winner's bracket a little bit earlier, so we kind of got a sneak peek of what they're throwing at. Sea-Punks, brand new for stream, not quite sure what they're bringing to the table, but we were looking at kind of, again, the map bans that they were choosing right here, and of course, both the zones survived. Everyone loves the zones, but they opted to ban TC Inkblot over the Clan Blitz match, which I was super surprised by. It feels like Rainmaker and Clan Blitz, nobody wants to play.
Yeah, I take umbrage with that because that is one of my team's strongest map modes, Inkblot TC. Very surprisingly, I go Clash. I know. What do you mean you go Clash? But in all fairness, we have a really high win record, and anytime we scrim with it, people ask us to replay because they're like, "There's just no way."
There's no way.
We lost to the Clash. So maybe they were like, "We don't want any of that possible Clash smoke, so we're banning it."
Hey, the results speak for themselves. I don't know what to tell you.
Absolutely, but what we will be looking at is umami zones to start off. Honestly, we see zones all the time. None of these are super new, but I feel like whenever you do see a zones, it's often on Robo Ramen, on a Hagglefish. So umami zones that has those two zones, a little bit less conventional and definitely a little bit harder to keep both of those zones capped. So interested to see how that shakes out.
I was gonna say that we were just talking about like how because of the dual zone, umami is not. It's not that it's not popular. It's just very controversial. You always have like half back and forth. Like, okay, do we want to run this? Do we not? It just because it's such a different way of playing the game that I think not a lot of people are used to, especially when we only have like one or two maps. I think Manta being the other one, and we don't really get to see that one on tournament rosters either.
I think an Undertow as well.
Yeah, Undertow, even more rare to see. And so the fact that we do have umami here just is really exciting to watch, but also a little bit more difficult just from a playing perspective because you don't really have all the strats there. But like you said, dual zone is going to be potentially a little more stally, but I think that's kind of the back and forth. Like you can have a very stally game unless you push up far enough because it can be very lockout heavy on umami.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally wouldn't have picked it, but these teams are ready to go. Taking a look at these comps, interestingly enough, we see a brush, I think, which is a little bit less likely. That new brush there with the Kraken along with a sploosh on the other side, but two members already go down on Sea-Punk. So right now I think Clanker farming at the advantage, getting both of the zones, popping the Suka to put a little bit more pressure coming out of Minty on this mini here. So Clanker farming definitely open, starting off with a strong start.
For sure. And like the mini pick is brand new right here. We didn't see them Clanker farming running that before, but I do love the pick right here because it has a lot of that same paint, a lot of some nice Zugas is coming out right here, and is really putting the work. Like you can just set that thing up in mid there, and it's very hard to contest it. Now, of course, we do have literally a rushdown comp. I'm just looking at Sea-Punks right now. We have full aggro right here. There is no cooler, there's no backline, but they are just full up in your face, and right now they are on the back foot. they have the Kraken and the Zuka ready to go, but this haven't been able to take the zone in over 60 points. This might be that first change right now as we get into this. Oh my goodness, they are going for it.
Yeah, and you see, I think Stara able to finally get that pick and get the zone, setting themselves up here on that top right to hopefully clean that up, but they do get checked. 2 members then going down for C-Punk, so they are not able to keep their hands on that zone necessarily for long. And I think that you were mentioning, I think how C-Punks has a lot of aggression, and that is very true, but I think aggressive comps like this struggle a lot on retake. Of course, they have that Kraken, which should be very useful for them. We have a hammer and a bubble, of course. Bubble very defensive rather than offensive. And right now, C-Punks is just having difficulty getting out of their zone. You see their Brush trying to sort of take this space and figure it out. Umami, classically really brutal on retake, and we're seeing that now.
And I think exactly to your point, like a full aggro comp like that is very fluid, very flexible, able to get around, but just they're not able to kind of withstand the wall that Clanker Farman is putting out right here, and they're just going to take it all the way to the KO right there. Just they had the one push able to get in, but then didn't really have the foothold to kind of keep it. Just once they were pushed in, they kind of fizzled out with their steam right there. And then, you know, once Clanker Farman came back in, like just like the mini, and then they had a sword, even just all that range, all that kind of holding power just was too much for them to handle, I think.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of don't know what happened there. Maybe just a bit of stalling, a bit of reluctance to push. Of course, we saw them get into mid in that one instance and sort of take over, but we also saw Stara move up and then largely be alone while several of their teammates went down. So perhaps it's just a case of lockout being disadvantageous, but especially with that Kraken, you would think they'd be able to get out of that choke area and move forward towards the zone, but I don't know, they just weren't able to get their footing there, it seemed.
Indeed. Now, there's 2 things I want to make note of. One, we just got a little whisper in the ear that these 2 teams that we're seeing right now are currently battling out all 8 of them in one VC. There's no 2 separate team VCs. We're having a full-on battle royale for these 2 teams right now, and it's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Second
that
thing,
might
though,
explain a lot.
But the other thing I was going to point out, like we saw this blue shot there. I'm trying to think back now because there's a Sploosh main in this mix, but they also play Clash Blaster. If if the other team knows they play Clash Blaster, that might explain the TC ban. Just like what you were talking about, Clash Blaster, that might be an incredibly strong map mode for Clash Blaster, and they're like, no, we don't want to deal with that.
No, very true. A tactical ban there, because I will say I love a Clash Blaster, but I do only run it on tower for obvious reasons. And it can be, listen, I know it's a weak weapon, but I think if you're not practiced against it, sometimes it can just sort of eat your lunch and chip at you and be extremely annoying. So that makes a lot of sense. And speaking of annoying, being a Sploosh and a Clash Blaster maid, sometimes, you know, annoying runs in our veins. I'm one of those people, but you do see that from time to time, and I wonder how this is. Well, it's not going to go because we do have the TC, so they're going to be starting over. But honestly, that would explain a lot. I'm sure there are call-outs that it's difficult to hear, perhaps, or things of that sort if you have a bunch of people all in one VC, and maybe it, you know, how do you push when you just hear your opponent like, got 2, got 3. It's like, whoa.
And on top of that, when you're trying to coordinate your game plan, the other team can hear that and be like, oh, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do this, and just counterplay immediately.
Yeah, guys, push with my flank.
Like, oh, there's a flank now, is there?
Yeah, but we are going to be heading into Museum Clams when everything finally gets sorted out, and I am curious to see if we're gonna see some switches from either of these teams. I think obviously retake, not really an issue you have to worry about in Clams as a whole. If you're locked out in Clams, you've got bigger problems, I think. So not having to worry about that. Perhaps both of these teams just kind of do what they were doing and put all their stonks in aggression, essentially.
See, I'm looking through the team roster again, and I think what's especially crazy about, talking about some comps changes, see, Clanker Farman was the one that ran the Sploosh last time, but the Sploosh main that I was looking at is actually on C-Punk. So we have two potentially secret Sploosh mains, one on each of these teams here. So I don't know if that, because Clanker Farman ran a completely different comp against like a Fortnite on Umami last time. So I'm not sure the thought process, but they had a plan and it worked out. So now we're going to see what they're going to be bringing back out here.
Could it be?
There's the Clash Blaster.
Could it be that this is a glorified fun PB? Like
that
perhaps
very could be, because that is once again on Clanker Farm, and that is not the Clash Blaster main I was looking at.
Yeah, so already you have, I think that Dread Ringer down. We have Puronji getting a really great pick on that Clash Blaster. And of note, not only is this a Clash Blaster, but this is what I would consider to be easily the worst of the two in that Neo Clash that instead has that Curling Bomb, of course, and those chumps. But the chumps come out already. That basket is open, making it down to 56, and I think that may be the end of that push if they haven't managed to get everyone down, and it looks as though they have Puronji fighting back, but not without a trade before they go down. So that's two down from Clanker Farming, and they are able, I'm mad, to get past that magic number of 60.
I would say, like, yes, very much the Clash Blaster with the Splat Bomb and the Ingzuka, I feel like would be the strong one. But to be fair, the Curling Bomb does lend itself to a lot more mobility for this Clash Blaster, and we saw how quickly they were able to grab kind of the spinning area and just keep it. It really is the Sword and the Mini that are putting all the aggressive plays right now. They're the ones really getting to C-Funk's face, and right here, Vinkum is already getting another splat, looking for more to go and just keeping things open for their team to kind of move in and collect those clams. And they do have another power clam almost ready to go in the back right there.
Oh, but we have a DC, it looks like, on the side of Clanker Farming. I think there's an end here, but I think that may be an illegal end. I could be wrong about that, but perhaps because everyone is just kind of in the fun PB, someone DCs, you kind of reflexively cancel, perhaps. So I don't know.
I know that the intro disconnect probably didn't count to begin with, but it was on C-Punk's side. I have to double check Squid Junction's rules, but I know generally if it's still above 50-ish and then within, still above 3 minutes, potentially okay, but I am not the final say on that. They'll have to take it up with the TOs for that one. But still, good sportsmen like to be like, hey, we see you. We're going to go ahead and end that for you and just try this again.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. You're with your friends, you want to just restart, get everything up and going, especially I think that things are quite fast for Squid Junction this time around, so perhaps they're like, we've got time, we've got nowhere to be, we thought we might be here 4 hours and we're here a little less than we thought we would be, like, no harm, no foul, we'll just redo that. But yeah, I'm not necessarily well versed on the rules, but we'd want to see them replay anyways. So no harm, no foul. It's a short time. We're going right back into it. Of course, no changes from either team, and we're looking to see if there's just as harsh of an opening as there was before. And with one member down on C-Punks, we might be seeing a replay in more ways than one, I'm at.
Oh, absolutely. Like, already we see the Clash Blaster and the Sword is really pushing in. The Groove Slider does take down that Clash Blaster. They were a little bit more prepared this time around and did stop the initial push. And with 2 members down here, Dread able to kick this fight, not quite able to get the splat, though. And so it is just, they're keeping Clanker Farming down. They're not letting them kind of run away with it like they did last time, but they're still struggling to kind of break out of their own base here. And we see the fight of the Kraken versus the Zipcaster, and both seem to live, funny enough.
That was crazy. I was like, that seems like a nightmare to me, for me to pop Zip, and I zip to a spot and then suddenly there's a Kraken there. So definitely excellent job living there. And speaking of living, I think one member is down on T-Punks. Make that 2 members down total with a bit of a trade there. But I think that ball may be expiring, and C-Punks has done a really great job of just chasing Clanker farming out of their space with 2 of their members down. I think they may be a little bit more hard pressed this time around to just walk in there and get their points down.
Okay, that was a really good kind of delayed wipe, and just a good cleanup from the dualies as well. And already, like, that's the nice thing about this leader right here is, like, they, even though like they're the longer range weapon on this map, they have that Kraken and they are not afraid to use it. They're going for some really aggressive plays, and for the first time in these 2 editions of this match, we're seeing C-Punks get the first opening right here. And they are getting a nice 60 to boot. That is an excellent first push right there. And they're going to still keep some more clans coming in. Still going to be bringing it more in. And I think the main thing is right there, they're not going down. They're not rushing too far in. And they're still maintaining some of the space that they were able to take in this push.
Yeah, we have a very wise tactical jump out from that leader and 2 members going down. So just a few seconds after getting their own basket broken open, I think Clanker farming already setting themselves up for a push of their own. You see Minty sort of moving around here after setting off their Zuka, not necessarily able to get any picks, but it seems as though with the aggression that Clanker farming is bringing, that a lot of the emphasis is more so on pressure and making sure that C-Punks is moving back and that they're going down maybe due to sort of a frantic energy. But it seems like the second time around, C-Punks is just doing a really good job of staying clear, keeping calm, and getting the picks that they need.
Honestly, it feels like there's a little bit of hesitancy from Clanker Farm this time around. Like last time, they were just full speed in their face, and like they got several good splats off of it. Now it seems like because C-Punks kind of survived that initial bout, that they were ready for them. Now it's kind of put Clanker Farm a little bit on edge, making them a little bit more nervous to push in so willy-nilly. And they had some a good spacing on the spinner, but then waited almost a little too long, and so C-Punks was able to push them out. And now, once again, they're finding it difficult to really get that space back. Like anytime they try to make a move, like drop down, you have the dualies pushing in, you have the reef slider, and the Kraken of all things as well, and just is making it really difficult to not only get the clamps they need to make a push, but also get the space they need to make a push. And so, with 3 members down, that might change things, but it is looking really strong for C-Punks right now as we get into this last minute.
Well, what's interesting is I find that Clanker farming, their plan of attack has been for Minty to pop that Zuka and for the members to sort of move forward with that. You see right now a double and another DC on the side of Clanker farming. I think that's just going to be it this time around. So unfortunately, with 39 seconds left, they're just going to have to play the rest out, especially at a disadvantage. Point-wise, that is extremely unfortunate. But as I was saying before, it seems as though they just kind of popped Zuka and then moved along with that. But the Zuka hasn't been getting any picks. Not to mention, I think that C-Punks has been using the fact that they have the Zuka more advantageously this time around, and that they have weapons that just have to be respected space-wise, including that Dread. So we're counting down to the last of it. You see that aforementioned leader just taking a member out, while I think this is going to be the kiss of death for Clanker farming in this game.
I would say, first of all, you get into a situation and you have an E-leader staring down at you. One of your players is disconnected. The last thing you want to do is give that leader a pick, because if you do, then that puts you in an even greater disadvantage. And then, of course, you have the glorious museum flank, and then the following jump to it to end the game right there. Just it's so hard to watch every single one of these avenues. Even though there's really only one good route onto the plat, the rest of the space around that plat, there's just so much of areas and routes to move about. Like if you have one set of eyes out of the game, it's so much harder to keep track of all that. It's so much easier to get a flank around. Like I've seen matches where there's all members of the team and they're off ready for their own push, and then you get a cheeky flank from behind and open the basket. It really plays to a well-balanced Clan Blitz round. I feel like this is one of my favorite Clan Blitz maps to watch and play on, just because you have kind of that flexibility and that diversity.
Yeah, people don't like Museum, but I say I don't like people, and they're wrong. So
So true.
I certainly definitely enjoyed both of those games, and seeing how the winner sort of flipped on its head, and now we're looking at a 1-1 heading in to this Mahi Mahi Zones game. So definitely, a lot of pressure on both of these teams, and a lot of pressure on Clanker Farming's router, I'd assume.
Absolutely. Then this is gonna talk about Mahi zones. This is gonna be interesting to again see because I feel like Museum, you do have the combat of the pencil versus E-leader, the two most dominant backlines there is right now. But Mahi kind of takes Museum and then shrinks it slightly. So like you still have a lot of space for those two weapons to really have a good time with, but now they gotta actually contend with each other the whole time. So it's gonna be curious which of them is gonna really like be the more dominant one, which is gonna keep that space more and really enable their team, especially in the first 50 points here when that water level is just making things even more cramped than usual. Now, of course, we did see, I'm trying to think, the dualies really pop off in that last game from C-Punks, and that I think kind of really threw off Clanker Farming's groove compared to the first time they played that, because the stamp really went ham the first time. Second time, it was the dualies that kind of responded in turn. So I'm curious to see if they stick the same comp, whether they're going to keep that kind of same ball rolling.
Well, the thing is, we did obviously see a zones game already, and talking about, how Umami went, there was a very clear lockout that happened against C-Punks, and Mahi Mahi is not kind on lockout either. It can be so difficult to go into mid when you have AoEs that are just sitting under ledge, like drop, nobody's gonna jump you. Chipping away at you, especially if you have your backline that's trying to get situated. But the other thing is, I think C-Punks was running a Dreadringer. And Dreadringer, of course, with that Reef Slider, can be an absolute menace to where your win condition ends up being, make sure the Dread is dead. So I'm curious to see if we'll be looking at another lockout, or if it'll go a different way, just like we saw happen with that Clams game.
I say the biggest thing that really is playing into their favor right now is that, like, for that first zones map, yes, they were locked out incredibly hard, but C-Punks were also running a very backlineless comp, like a very unusually frontline comp that you don't typically see. I think that kind of shot themselves in the foot with that. But since they added the Dreadringer and since they added the E-Leader, they've been really keeping up with Clanker Farming, especially in that second round. So I think that, like, yes, they are very susceptible to the same lockout, but now I feel like they have a little bit better tools to kind of deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, when it comes to leader, it can be kind of make or break. I've seen it go really well and really poorly, but you already see Starrett getting this critical triple on the other team and make that a full wipe. I hope they just kind of clip that, because that is an epic last kill to get there with that Reef Slider at point blank range. But already C-Punks is down to the 30s, getting a lot of work done. We have seen a transformation of the entire board, but finally Clanker Farming saying, we will not go quietly into that night, and let's cap this and get some points on the board.
I said, not only is that a huge flip from the second map, but like that is much different from their first map on the zones.
A DC.
Oh no. I'm afraid that is well past the point values, and that was on C-Punks this time around. Both teams have experienced the DC so far, but this one, well, so here's the thing: they have the lead. All they got to do is play smart. All they got to do is keep the zone, keep their space, and not really go too much into the fighting, because if they can keep the points they have and just add on some more penalty points, they have the Dreadringer. That is literally the biggest tool they could have in this kind of situation. And is they well, not if it jumps in the water like that.
Well, who was the person that DC'd? Because I'm realizing now, has C-Punks this entire time been clueless?
Yes, I believe that was a splatter shot that they had before.
Oh wow,
They
yes.
they kept the dualies and the splatter shot from their first comp, and they added on the leader and the Dreadringer, which it gives them a little bit more range. But now, that's gonna be a complete wipeout right there, and that is gonna be the point lead swapping to Clanker farming right there. And now we're really, like, with the player down, we're looking into that kind of lockout that we were talking about before, especially with Vinkum on the sword right here, just getting right up in their face, but potentially, one more chance to cap the zone and take it on back. Here comes the Reef Slider, takes 2, and caps the zone to keep them in this game.
Yeah, I know. I saw Star really painting for their life, trying to get that Reef Slider, knowing that that was their last hope, essentially. And even if they are going down, they still have some penalty on flanker farming. And you see Pajab getting this really strong double there, along with this Crab in a very aggressive position. You see they're really ignoring the pencil, just getting done what they need to get done. And that, so far, has been a solid hold from what is essentially a 3v4 game.
I think that was the smartest Crab they could have ever popped. Like, you're so right. They ignored the pencil, and instead they helped out their teammates with the 2 members of Clanker Farming flank around on the left side, and then here comes 2 more down.
No way!
All
no
they gotta do is
way!
paint. They just gotta paint. The sword is coming in. They keep the zone. Literally, the smartest Crab they can. Like, the pencil can't do anything. The pencil will not be able to push the zone. They are only there to support their teammates. And if you knock out their aggressors, their playmakers, they can't make a play. And that's exactly what they did, and were able to keep that zone for the knockout with a player down to boot. Insane.
I'm inclined to agree. When I saw that Crab and I saw them say, "Listen, that pen can't get me," I'm ignoring them. What a play, tactical, and I can only imagine what's going on in that VC.
If they're still in an 8-team or 8-player VC, they got to be going off right now. Things are going crazy over there.
Oh my gosh, all 8 of them in the VC, 1 player that DC'd, wow. Against all odds, I think C-Punk's kind of getting this upset a little bit over Clanker Farming, seeing as though Clanker Farming, of course, coming from that winner's bracket. So I think against all odds, I'd argue, given how this set has gone, they were able to, well, it's not really a reverse sweep. There's 3 games, but come from behind and take the set going up to winners.
I say in a 3-match set, that's about as close to a reverse sweep as you can get.
Yeah.
You're so right. Like, we almost saw the I'm trying to think, because it wasn't. No, Lego Fortnite was the one that knocked Clanker Farming down into. So this was. No, there wasn't going to be a rematch, but this will propel C-Punks into our losers finals here against Yakult Teket, which got knocked down from winners finals from like a Fortnite. Winner of this next set will determine who gets to face off against like a Fortnite in the grand finals. And with a win like that, C-Punk's got to be going hot right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But speaking of hot, we are going to cool down with a short break. So don't go anywhere. You don't stay too hot. You stay hydrated. We'll be right back.
If you hold me tight, feeling happy so close.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Squid Junction 99 Grand Finals. I'm here with IMAD, I'm Sasu, and we're taking a look at what this Grand Finals is going to look like. But what are you thinking first, taking a look at this, IMAD?
Well, first of all, we have two teams that have really fought their way through the whole tournament because we are in our losers finals right now. This is the
I'm
last
a fool.
chance.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
I said this is our last chance to get into grand finals to face off against the Lego Fortnite, and we see C-Punks in the last set. We saw Yakult Teke in the winners finals against Lego Fortnite, so now they're duking it out. And I guess the first thing that popped in mind, and I said this earlier, for the first time this tournament, we don't see a Rainmaker ban. They opted to ban the other two modes.
Listen,
That's crazy.
honestly, I'm excited to see it. I know that there's been a lot of discourse about Rainmaker being the worst mode, and maybe it is, but I still want to watch Rainmaker Humpback. Sorry, womp womp. I think that the games that you get out of Rainmaker, the fact that what I always say is that you pick up the Rainmaker, you get that initial check, and then it's like the game really begins. Because on certain maps, you just get this walk, and the walk can be so chaotic on Humpback in particular, because of course you have that elbow area where people will just want to bomb out and make sure you can't walk. So the game of people spawning in, dropping down to stop that Rainmaker is just so entertaining. So I'm glad both of these teams are gonna have to go to Humpback Rainmaker and put on a show for us.
Well, it's interesting because, well, I know C-Punks, they can go full backlineless, so that's not a problem. But I know that Yakai wants to run that leader main. Actually, wait, no, they both like the leader here. Oh, okay, so we're going to be seeing some leader clash up, and I'm just going to jump right from that to the vanilla pro we're seeing right there, that crab pro here. That's going to be interesting to watch out here.
Listen, some people know me for my Clash, but the real ones know me for my Forge. I attend the Church of Pro, and quite frankly, I think that the new Pro has inspired a lot of people to take a little bit of a look at the other kits that have been out. So definitely excited to see that. So far, you see Yakult with an early lead with this lockout, and we didn't talk too much about what it means to be on Barnacle and Dime Zones, but one thing I always say is this is just such a difficult map mode to be on. The lockout, if we're talking about the brutal lockout on those other map modes, it's terrible here because you have to take so many fights to get back into mid. You see already two members of C-Punks going down, and that change of hands in terms of the zone. So fantastic job here from Star.
I said that was a very well executed reach slider, but I think the one thing, like we saw it on Clambless this map, it's like you said, it's a whole other beast trying to play it on zones, because it's almost a two-way lockout when it's Clambless, because the basket's right where, on the other side of that where you want to get. On zone, you just gotta paint the zone, you gotta lock them out, and you just play the rest of the game. You don't even have to think about it, especially with that brush right now. We saw them get a couple of nice pits on the other side of that snipe right there to really open things up for Yakult earlier. But now it is just going to be the shot remaining, and they potentially can keep the zone back, but they're opting to fight it out, and they are going to be taken down, allowing Yakult to keep the zone and continue their almost dominant hold on the map right now.
Yeah, might have to say, not sure I agree with that stay and fight, though I totally understand it. I think wiping on this map mode can be so extremely punishing because you go back so far. You see already the other team down to 3, 2 of their members going down, so they have a little bit less painting power to contest here. But with that well-placed bomb, they do get the exact pick they need to stop C-Punks from getting that paint down. That is going to be a win for Yakult.
I said the MVP play right there was the leader getting a nice snipe on the Dreadringer, literally mid roof slide animation, about to gun it for the zone, but they stopped them in their tracks. And so that could have extended the game even longer, but just the fact they took out that particular special allowed the rest of C-Punks to Yakult to come back in, and they just won the paint battle at the end.
Yeah, Just a really good tactical job, I think. Like I said, I think a bit of a misstep there with C-Punks in terms of overextending. You cannot afford to wipe everybody going way back there. I was just thinking to myself, the place is so big. The amount of time it takes to get back into mid is just not enough. You'll just lose the game on pure timing alone. But none of them going to necessarily have to worry about timing as much heading into what we discussed before, this humpback Rainmaker.
We did see like the one backline that's come from C-Punks on Umami Zones, which I feel like is a very backline strong map. I can't imagine that they're gonna pass up the opportunity to run that again for Rainmaker if that's one of their real comps, because like this is excel. Like, you do get into those situations where it can be hard to break out when you get kind of that leader in mid and then the rest of the team sitting on that corner there. It can be hard to fight the stall game, but at the same time, if you are in the advantage, if you are on the aggression, just having that kind of speed and attacking power can be so strong for them if they so choose to go that route. So I'm curious to see what they opt for. I think just leader in general has a little bit tougher time from defense side. It is so strong when it has that giant hump in the middle, but when it's trying to get back in, it can be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a bit of a trade-off here in terms of whether it's worth it to run the leader. I've seen people even change to like a well string in this particular map mode just because of obviously the object damage, and that leader is just not the strongest on retake. But of course, you also have that Kraken, and I think that Kraken, particularly in that elbow, can be extremely punishing even if your main weapon isn't necessarily doing the trick. But of course, we see Yakult getting an early pop there and Ripping changing over to that Forge, which I especially personally like to see.
I noticed that immediately as well, just swapping over to that. And the Booyah Bomb is going to be great, not only for kind of opening things up, but also a great stall tool for the defensive side. So good all-arounder. And you can't go wrong with more Suction Bombs, especially for the Rainmaker pop. But it's kind of just a fight. We did see the first pop going to Yakult at the beginning there, but I think they weren't quite able to get the upper hand over C-Punks until now. They're going to be taking their first grab, and we'll see if they can bring it all the way to the pedestal, and they are. Cali doing an excellent job of pushing ahead to open things up for them. And this is the turning point where C-Punks, are they going to be able to kind of break out and keep the break Yakult's momentum, or is this the time where they are going to start just getting pushed back?
Yeah, well, you see that splashdown appropriately taking someone down, and very importantly, even though maybe not able to get the most points on the board, I always think it's worth it sometimes to just, even if you take a single step, get that Rainmaker off of the pedestal and take just a few steps forward, because if the other team gets that check and isn't able to move forward, you automatically get that win. But you see a sneaky amount of points able to be eked out from Yakult, giving them an even larger lead down to 20. So finally, C-Punks has their pause, so to speak, on this Rainmaker, and they're making their way to this elbow to see if they can get that dunk, but not before getting Zuka'd on the last shot there.
I say that was an incredibly ballsy move from the leader. Like, instead of opting to stay in mid and regroup, they decided to push for the points, which may work out for them in the end. But that did give C-Punks a nice opening to kind of push back and not be stuck in their base anymore. And now they are the ones on the aggression, and now they are the ones with the crack and pushing out. All they got to do is they got to watch out for the leader going to pick up the Rainmaker, and if they can get that Rainmaker or the leader out of the way, that can open things up for them so well right now. And that is 3 members down, just the pro remaining. They just got to run it. They got to watch out for the extra bomb, but no! 1 point. That is a delayed wipe. They got to get a pop, and they just got to grab it. And they get the lead. That is the lead right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That is certainly not what you want to see if you're Yakult. Very frustrating to get them all the way down just for them to repop and immediately get lead and then all go down. But we are still just halfway through, so they have a lot of time. You have the Forge ripping here with the Rainmaker, and I think both teams have a Kraken, so the Kraken is moving forward, trying to clear some space for them, but Ripping does go down, but they have gotten the lead just by 1 point.
Oh my goodness. I think like that really did come down to the fact they have such a short range comp because they can't get close enough with the Krakens swimming about. They weren't able to get within range to stop the Rainmaker in time, so they did a backwards kind of like shot to propel themselves forward for that last point on the wall. That was pretty darn amazing, but that was such a, it's not safe by any means. Like no push is safe on this map, but that is a pretty strong lead, I must say. It's going to take a equal one and to bring that back, and potentially Seabunks have that. Like we see the Dreadringer all the way up in their base. They do get taken down, but with a follow-up Kraken like this, getting a nice splat right there, like that could be the opening that they're looking for. They stop the Kraken before they can pop it. That is so huge. It's once again just the Pro remaining, and it's just the Booyah Bomb. If they can live the Booyah Bomb, if they can live, but no, they do get stopped and they lose two of their teammates.
Yeah, the Forge really working overtime at making sure they got that down, and I think that off angle Zuka there also getting a really critical pick, just making it tough for Punks, but Yakult is going to go down, and that is very unfortunate because they were moving back. So if they're able to pop and grab, they may just get the lead immediately, which they've done. 3 of the members going down, but we have 22 seconds left in this game. So right now, Yakult, even though they put in the work before to get that lead, it's just not going to be enough, seeing as though Punks has somehow managed to get it to down to 6, and we will be heading perhaps into overtime.
I'd say kudos to that Dreadringer right there. No overtime for them. They were the last ones to touch the Rainmaker, and I think the shot snaked around to stop them before they could really get too far. But I just want to give a shout out to the Dreadringer. Like they were, I think the last one remaining on their team, but they had the presence of mind to stay in that area. They not only threw out the the Reslider, take out the brush, but they were just barely able to snag the Rainmaker carrier before they could drop it down, and then the follow-up on the E-leader before they can get that Kraken ready to go was just, it opened things up so much for their team. I think the pro nearly threw a wrench in that plan, but just the cleanup after that, be able to have the presence of mind to keep their team together, just allowed them to get all the way to 6 points. They even had a Protect the President body block right at the end to get those last couple of points.
Listen, stop banning Rainmaker so we can see games like this. Maybe it doesn't feel so great to play, but I'm having fun watching it. So certainly really glad we got to see that. It was a case of both of these teams having this very similar strategy, to be honest, of popping this Kraken, displacing the rest of the team, and then seeing if they can just push with that. And yeah, Punks just did it better and came out on top. But now we are looking at a map mode just about everyone has in their pockets and should know how to play Robo Ramen zones.
I say not only is this like this is the bread and butter at this point of Splatoon comp, but I think that not only is the leader going to have a good time, but I think that if Punks chose to, like, they could bring their leader back, don't get me wrong, but there's also a nice map for if they wanted to kind of keep the backline this comp, which very much worked out for them that last map, but they could keep it for the next one too. There's a lot of avenues, still a lot of room for their front lines to kind of move around. I think the only thing they have to watch out for is that rush, which we saw put in a ton of work on Barnacle and Dive, which is by all means a ranged map. How much more fun is it going to have on the flank routes of Ramen?
Oh, yes. I think a lot of this is going to have to be managing that brush, whether it's keeping it in check, keeping it down, or deciding that it's not worth your time on the flank and just ignoring it and continue to do what you're doing. Because the brush, it's essentially their job to overextend. But with how healthy the flanks are on a place like Robo Ramen, it can just be so difficult to be pushing up to that elbow and oops, nobody knew where the brush was, and now they're behind you, and there you have it. They've gotten 3 picks, and once again, we're looking at a map that can have a brutal lockout. So we're heading now to the tiebreaker. We are tied 1-1, and both of these teams are going to have to take home the dub to make it to grand finals.
here we go. I think the biggest surprise of this lineup is the fact they chose to keep the splashdown for the dualies right there. I know Crab, we talked about Crab earlier, has some really nice setup spots, but I think that is like max aggression right there. You have the splashdown, and then of course you have the Reslider, both really good zone capping tools. So we'll see how this works out for them. It is going to be Yakult with the first zone cap, and they're going to be sending out a heck ton of specials, but we do see the splashdown and the Kraken kind of countering back and getting a nice 2 down right there to kind of flip things back into C-Punk's favor.
Absolutely, and you see C-Punks, once we were talking about that brush, they are dealing with it dearly right now. You see a brush v brush, and it is going to be the brush that wins that face-off on the side of C-Punks there in particular. But right now they're able to get that back. Of course, that Pro, we neglected to mention, we have yet another Pro switch off, this time to the more popular Frozen Pro. Of course, those missiles are going to come out. C-Punk's going to have to watch to make sure that they are not standing on zones while they are missiled, but currently the zone in neutral. 3 of the members of C-Punk's going down, so Yakult, of course, going to move up to this elbow area and see if they can get started on a lockout.
Unfortunately for C-Punks, not quite able to get the last point they need for the lead, and now Yakult is even going to extend their lead even further with this hold here. But it is crazy that we're seeing every single version of the Pro in this set, one for each match. And it's working out for them. They're having kind of this lockout that we were talking before, just getting the leader and the range set up on this corner here. And we don't even know where the brush could be going off, and you don't know where it's going to be. So that could be even more dangerous to deal with. But I think finally we're going to be seeing C-Punks kind of make their stand for mid, trying to break back in. They had the Zook, they had the splashdown, and they do manage to get 2, but unfortunately do lose 2 of their own. And we see 2 Krakens on the map just duking it out. Always one shot, just barely able to hold on to the life in that bout. And it is going to be Yakult holding on to the zone until the Reslider comes out.
Yeah, like we were talking about, perhaps in this set, question mark, may have been in the last set, but at the end of the day, sure, you have to manage that brush, but the real win con maybe make sure that the Dreadringer is dead. Of course, Robo Ramen is one of those places where if you have the right or the most annoying gear, you should be able to cap over that zone by yourself on a Reef Slider. So definitely Yakult's going to have to make sure that they keep that in check, and they're working so far on doing so. That Zuka gonna come out, not necessarily going to find anyone. C-Punk's gonna let them cap over it, but eventually going to put down the ink to put it in neutral. And I think that's why I was feeling a little bit tentative. We have a DC on the side of C-Punks yet again, unfortunately. So this went from difficult to even more difficult as it is for C-Punk, seeing as though they're currently in a pretty deep deficit.
Though to be fair, this was in the same situation C-Punks was in before, and they still managed to bring it back. It was on Mahi zones, and C-Punk still won the 3v4. But Yakult has been a very formidable opponent so far, and they've just been doing a good job of just like ready for the reslide and ready to just punish the specials when they threw it out, because they have a lot of like very quickly get in your face and then like nuke the whole area. But it's like if you're ready for it, you can just kind of back up and let it do its thing and then come back and clean up afterward. And then just the missile, getting another splat with the missiles right there, clearing things out, and then just keeping all the space. Like that map is pretty darn purple right now. They are all up on the base in the snipe. It's going to take a lot of time. They're going to take a lot of time to get back out, and they just don't have it right now. So unfortunately, Yakult going to be taking game 3 with the DC, but still they had a very strong showing for the first half of that match.
Yeah, I know that you said, well, C-Punks before they were behind and they were able to still take that game, but also C-Punks last time they had a crab. They had a game-winning crab, and this time they had that splashdown, which is definitely way more difficult on retake at a disadvantage to be able to really get anything done with. So I think, unfortunately, a bit of a victim to their comp in that case.
No, I think you're 100% right there. I think that is pretty crucial, because I think like Ramen has the opportunity to kind of get you into user splashdown, but when you lose that last player right there, then it just makes that exponentially harder, especially into a team that has all that range to kind of spot you out before you can get close. So it it, it would have worked out if they had their full power, but because of the disadvantage, that just kind of multiply the disadvantage they're already at.
Yeah, but unfortunate end. But I think that's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles. But speaking of cookies, feel free to grab a snack because we were gonna be taking a short break before we head into what I hope is me being correct this time in grands. So take a short break, but come back and join us next time. Soon. Yeah.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the grand finals of Squid Junction 99. We have the rematch of LEGO Fortnite and Yakult Tekkit, who just fought their way back from the losers bracket. Once again, it is I, Mad Game of the Second, joined by Sasu.
Yes, it's just me, and honestly, I love that intro. Very theatrical, perfect for grand finals.
Well, thank you. I wanted to. It is the grand finals, and so it's like you got to add a little bit more oomph, a little bit more flair to it to get the viewers at home excited.
Absolutely, I love the flair, but Yakult Tekkit definitely gonna have to lock in because I think they went down last time to Lego Fortnite 3-0. So certainly, they're not gonna want a replay of that. So we're gonna be starting off in what I call the Great Equalizer, Hagglefish zones. All teams, much like a Robo Ramen zones, know how to play this. Nothing surprising here. Healthy flanks. It's gonna be raw skill, I'd argue, going into that game.
I say this is one of those. It's one of those other bread and butter maps of Splatoon comp, but I think compared to Ramen, it's not very lockout heavy, but it is kind of very unique and difficult to break back in. It requires team coordination. I think one of the things that makes it a really balanced map is you can't just run in and cheese a zone. You have to actually have a really solid game plan to kind of break out, because you have a mix of the flank routes, you have a mix of just the corridor map, and then you also have a mix of the little ledges that some sharks can be lurking underneath. And so you just have all those little elements and makes the whole. Plus the unique feature of those two columns in the mid, which I don't think many other zones map have. Maybe like Undertow.
But both of these teams gonna go shopping a little bit here on Hagglefish. Of course, we see that leader once again up against a more standard pencil. Interestingly enough, we have a junior sporting that bubble there, going down almost immediately, likely to that leader shot. I wouldn't be surprised, but the that soda gonna come out so the team can take a bit of a sip, but Yakult looking to get ahead here, an early lead with two more members going down, make that 3 for Lego Fortnite. They're saying, listen, we're not gonna let what happened before, we're gonna get ahead of this right now.
I say Yakult is out for blood right now. Holy moly, they've been tearing up Lego Fortnite since the beginning of this game, with several members going down, and they're just keeping at a constant stagger. This will be changing, however, with Lego Fortnite finally with Ray getting some clutch splats, getting some players down, and going to be flipping the zone over. But nice 53 for a starting push in here, and just honestly a big contrast to how their match ended before. So I think they are definitely out to change things around.
Yeah, and you have a really strong 2v1 there. I think we're going to be looking at a change of hands. We do in terms of the lead, but finally, Yakult able to drop, get into the zone, cap over that. I think Lego Fortnite, of course, had the grace of not having a penalty before, so they were able to make quick work of their points. But finally, Yakult being able to move forward means that they'll start working on those penalty points, and they have quite a bit to go through with that 22, 2 down on either side. But one shot here trying to do their namesake and get a clean pick, but it's seeming like it's very tough. I think that the Lego Fortnite members are very cognizant of this leader and aren't going to let it get off easy.
I think that is one of the big features of this map right here, is you do have a leader, but knowing, like, just looking at Lego Fortnite's comp between the junior and the pencil, they don't need to really overextend. They have kind of the paint power and the presence to just keep the zone from their side of the map. You do have to contend with, you know, the brush and the shot coming at them from the sides, but if you're able to just keep control of mid, you don't really need to kind of worry about the leader. Now, we did have a very funny interaction between the sword and the leader, both of them peeking their respective ledges, with the leader just having a slightly bit more range than the stamp. But, oh boy, we're going to be seeing Lego Fortnite going 4 down as Yakult takes a solid control zone here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those whales may be coming out soon, along with a lot of specials from Yakult, which is going to make it all the more difficult. Of course, 2 members going down to that that Zuka and a Pencil sitting there on top right, trying to chip out, get some points. But already Yakult's running away with the points that they've gotten from this push. One shot trying to check and make sure that nobody, anyone who's overextending gets checked, but they just don't have the pain and they get their Kraken canceled. Right now, I think that Yakult's Brush was really working overtime to see what they could do, but Lego Fortnite has done a fantastic job of taking all of the space they've gotten from each one of these picks.
I said the key to breaking back into this map is not to run in willy-nilly, but to use kind of your specials to lead the way and then follow up. Lego Fortnite threw themselves in, lost 2 of their members, and yet the Junior and the Blaster managed to keep the zone, get their penalty, and get it all the way down to 34 with half their team still respawning. Just very well played, and they're still going back for more. They're still able to recap the zone and be constantly putting on the pressure against Yakult right now. The only thing really keeping Lego Fortnite from keeping control of the zone is just the numbers. They're not able to stay alive. They're losing too many of the 1v1s, but just they're not letting Yakult run away with this. They're not letting them take this too easy.
Yeah, Yakult still working their way through their points. Of course, that whale is popped to put a little bit of pressure and a really critical bubble that does get the brush down. And I think that 3 members are down, so they should be able to take this zone. Right now, it's in neutral. I think for getting a little bit too focused on bullying and lockout. But one thing I have to give it up to Yakult is they've been very patient here. It's when it comes to haggle, when you get a member down, often people want to just move forward, get up that ramp, and see if they can get a solid amount of bullying done. But they've been very careful to make sure they're not overextending, and I think that really is to their credit. Of course, 2 of their members go down. I think the leader has that Kraken, so right now it's up to Yakult to really coordinate and see how they are going to make this push to get back into the zone, because really they don't have that much time left.
No, not a whole lot of time out. They are in their last couple of overtime, a couple of points away, and they do manage to take the lead back. Lego Fortnite taking game 1 in overtime. They were having some trouble keeping the foothold. I feel like you said, they were doing a good job of not overextending, but just the way that Yakult's comp oriented is like anytime that Lego Fortnite tried to make a move, just between the brush and the shot, they're just really quick to get in their face. I noticed it in particular with the Junior, one of the anchor points, the secondary anchor points of their team, that Junior couldn't get into the zone. It couldn't push up and really utilize the bubble, because every time it popped that bubble, boom, there's a brush in your face, throwing bombs and just swinging all over the place. So I feel like every single time that bubbler got popped, with the exception of that last push at the end, the Junior lost only 1 to the brush, and then it all kind of domino effect from there. So I think finally able to kind of learn from that, set up the bubble a little bit out of the way, and then get the rest of the team in there to just win the paint war, and they were able to take back the zone for that last push at the end.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Yakult at the very least feels encouraged by their performance. Despite the fact that they lost, I feel like they have a little bit of momentum under their wings, seeing as though they were playing a really oppressive game. So, oof, it's a little chilly. I feel like it's cold outside, and hence the snowball, because we are going to be looking at Ship-Shape Tower, which is one of the, bar none, most snowbally tower maps allowed in competitive play Splatoon.
Oh, absolutely. By far none. I feel like the only thing running up to that is the ink block tower that's coming up in a couple of matches. But if this was Lego Fortnite versus Yakult in winners finals, I feel like Lego Fortnite has his hands down. But after that match, with how back and forth that was, I feel like we might have a very extended game here. Now, of course, Lego Fortnite could just prove me wrong and just grab it and run away with it, or vice versa. But I think just whatever Yakult picked up in their losers run has changed their mindset, their game plan. So now, Lego Fortnite, having been sitting up in grand finals, is having a little bit more tough time with that.
We're looking at a few changes here as well. Of course, Ray changing to that rapid as well as Lex changing to a Gal. Both of these teams sporting a little bit more range, essentially. 2 members already down on Lego Fortnite. I think Yakult is trying to have the same opening that they had before, where they're just going aggression. You see One Shot getting a really strong pick to start. And what I often say is, as soon as you clear maybe that second checkpoint, you might just be the game might be yours. So far that Kraken just holding that tower, going back a bit, but Lego Fortnite has been really hard pressed to do any sort of fight back here. It's like Yakult is kind of going for a spawn camp almost.
I see. I really like the 52 brush combo here, because not only do you have double whales on a, like, this is one of the reasons this makes it a very snowballing map, is just how dang linear this map is. So you have dual whales coming at you from a corridor map. There's not a whole lot of space to maneuver. On top of that, you have the 52 kind of playing distraction in the middle with a splash wall, brush flanking around from the left, and of course One Shot on the Kraken to finish things off. Just they are not having a tough time. And I think on top of all that, they swap to the Rapid Pro. They are running double backline. They don't have the speed and aggression without that other S-Blast before, and I feel like it's really starting to show here, because they're just struggling to fight just the onslaught that Brush and 52 is throwing at them right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will say that Yakult has made it through the proverbial third check, and even though they are not on the tower, Lego Fortnite will be hard pressed to do better than that. And we are at the 3-minute mark, so only 2 minutes have elapsed, and only one of the teams has any points on the board. Ray getting a really strong pick, trying to displace their backline, which they do with ease, and finally they do go down. So 3 members down on Yakult, which is not looking good, finishing that off for a delayed wipe. It may be time for the Avalanche to go in the opposite way, so to speak.
I was gonna say, like, even though like they kind of struggled to break out when they were at the disadvantage, now that they're on the aggression, like that blaster is just eating up the E-leader right now. There's not a good place for them to stand. There's no way for them to drop. Like, they can just keep at them at a range. They might have to deal with the whales. They might have to deal with kind of this corner here. But as soon as there's the bubbler, like, you just got a bubbler to kind of keep that space to yourself, and then it's just a matter of how well are you to keep up the momentum as you continue through. And so far, they're managed to keep up with it, at least to the point where they can keep the space that they have. They're going to be a bit of a reset on the tower, but they knocked quite a bit of that point difference away.
Yeah, and right now it's looking like their win con is just making sure that Ray stays down, because Ray going to be dangerous to all of the members, but particularly their leader. And I think that Yakult's leader really is the key to their success here. Like you said, this is a very linear map. So really, not to mention, when it comes to tower and leader, all they truly have to kind of do is point and shoot. They know exactly where you're going to be. And that's half the battle when it comes to leader. So right now, that is definitely going to be super tough for them. You have that brush just taking people out, popping those whales, making life very difficult for the other team, trying to stop them in their tracks. And quite frankly, I think Yakult is doing a really good job of this, because, once again, obviously, very snowbally map. So you're going to have to put as many road stops in the way as you can to stop them from going forward and just getting points you don't intend them to get on the board.
Oh, absolutely. And we did see Lego Fortnite. They did try to attempt another push right there, but I think that one ended a little bit more disastrously for them than the last one. They were down to 30 seconds, and that was 3 down with some good plays from the Pro and the Brush here, just really keeping things locked down here. And they are continuing to push up here. If they, like, taking control of this left side here, taking control of this corner is going to be huge, because that's going to be one of their main staging points for Lego Fortnite. And if they are denied that, that's going to keep them off kilter for the rest of this game right here. And 10 seconds remaining. They got to be on the tower. They have to be on the tower, but they can't when there is a Kraken right underneath you, and it's just going to shut the whole thing down, giving I already forgot it was Yakult that ran away with that.
Yeah, people talk about the GG strikes, the GG booyah, but never the GG Kraken. And honestly, that's exactly what it is. Because when you see the enemy team pop that Kraken and you're on tower, you're like, oh, well, I mean, what are we gonna do? Stand there? Die? And I think that's exactly what happened. They were standing there. You see Ray standing there, and they paid dearly for their crimes of being in the path of a Kraken. So, like we said, and like we kind of called it, Yakult was able to break through that that second checkpoint, and then after that, it's just kind of GG's. It's very difficult to get your lick back at that point. And Yakult almost took that first game, successfully took that second game. So I imagine they're feeling really good headed into this Mahi Zones game.
Oh, absolutely. This is no longer the 3-0 set that we saw in winners finals. We are now seeing a very even set amount of teams right here. Again, just they went on their training montage. They went down the loser bracket, beefed up, and then came back to fight the grand champions for this final bout. And they do have a bracket reset to deal with, but until then, they are on point to start getting this grand finals back. Now, of course, it was like a Fortnite. This seems like Zone seems to be their bread and butter right now. Like we mentioned before, like they just have the patience, have the kind of the fortitude to know when they need to push up and keep the space, but also know when to not overextend, when to kind of back up and just let the other team run themselves out a bit. And so it's going to be difficult, I think, unless Yakult figure out a way to kind of get around that. This could be another Lego Fortnite win, but still setting themselves up good, because like they have kind of like the sprinting. They just need to find the way to do the marathon.
Ooh, really good analogy there. I think we might see a Pro v Pro. Of course, Ripping staying on that, and to switch to the Frozen Pro, the new one from Ray, off of that that Rapid that we were seeing before. No surprise there. And also, I think Car Viral switching as well to the Wiper, but they are down at the moment. There's a bit of a one deficit on both of these teams, not to mention that we're once again seeing that leader, and gonna be curious to see how helpful that is. Of course, Lego Fortnite has their hands on the zone for the moment, or at least they're in neutral. I think. Yeah, maybe a little bit focused on picking, not quite getting their hands on that zone, but the counter is ticking once again. Cali trying to see what they can get away with, because they are a brush and that is their jobs. And so far, I think that Lego Fortnite has had several games. Whoa!
Oh my goodness!
What happened there? Are there two people who have a whale? Am I crazy?
Yes, but the 52 in the vanilla brush, that is going to be a double whale coming out. But of course, the Kraken jump scare. The player didn't see him. We didn't see him. Just jumps back in, and oh, there's one shot ready to take him down. But still, Lego Fortnite is in control of the zone. And I think I mentioned this earlier, talking about Hagglefish. Like, this is like unlike Hagglefish, where you can kind of keep the backlines apart. This one, you are almost forced to deal with each other. It's just enough smaller where you have to actually look down the alley like, yep, I'm gonna have to fight you now. And it seems like when the leader is not set up where it wants to be, is having a hard time keeping up with just the sheer amount of paint and support that the pen is able to get out for their team. Now, of course, when those whales go flying and the brush and the 52 are stampeding, that is a tough thing to just keep going. Like, unless you have like that bubble online, it's just so hard to stop them when they're on a rampage like that.
Yeah, but I think so far Yakult doing a good job of defending the zone, but commentators curse they are going to lose the zone in that moment. And I think right now it's just, I don't know, Lego Fortnite, like, they've locked in. I think, I don't know if they were necessarily being a little bit sleepy, but they have a whole new level of aggression we didn't necessarily see in their other games. You have their Kraken going out, gonna promptly be punished, and the numbers just keep ticking for them, with not, I think, a spot of ink coming on there from Yakult. They're just trying to break out, and we were discussing in a prior set how difficult lockout and retake can be, but you see, I think a beaming happen, but there's just no time to get back into mid. So that's going to be a pretty dominant game for Lego Fortnite.
And one of Lego Fortnite's fortes that they've shown so far is just their ability to keep space, their ability to take control and just keep the space that they have. They're not like it was only until the very end that we saw like any of them, even the sword, like get up onto the enemy flat. They were very content to stay around the ledges, stay around the zone, and just kind of wait for the Yoko to kind of make a move and then kind of slip up. They were waiting to punish the mistakes of Yoko rather than trying to force the issue. Now, I think something that really played against them in the tower control match was the double backline, but once they had that wiper back out, had their player back on a kind of an aggressive role, then they were able to match some of what Yoko was throwing out, to match the speed and the fighting power that the 52 and the brush had, and that kind of really reset the scales for them in that last set, that last match right there.
I'm inclined to agree. I think that's a really excellent analysis of what sort of went down there. Yakult has so far been able to really smother Lego Fortnite, especially on opening. But I think having a skirmisher, having a little bit more fighting power, a little bit more chip, has really worked for Lego Fortnite and making it way easier to manage what Yakult is putting up. But we are going to be looking to the previously banned by other teams. Ink
We're
Blot.
safe now. There's no Clash Blaster.
Yeah, there's no clash, so they're like, whoo, we can come out from our safe space and finally play this Ink Blot tower game. And I'm gonna be interested to see. Well, I'd be shocked if we don't see that rapid again. Perhaps they say it didn't work out before. That double backline does not work for us, so we're not doing it. But we're going to be taking a look at these comps just shortly. They've decided to not stick, but change over to Luna. No changes, I believe, for Yakult. But interestingly enough, I know people love that Frozen Pro, but I gotta tell you, Imad, I think we need to be investing more in Forge on these tower games. That GG Booyah and the suction for tower can be really useful. But 2 members already going down for Yakult and Lego Fortnite, I think giving them a taste of their own medicine in terms of that opening aggression.
I think I have to agree with you on the pro analysis right there.
Yeah.
The missiles are great for a lot of map modes, and it is decent for tower, but I think one is tower control, so Booyah Bomb is just the ultimate GG weapon. But then Inkblot is a close quarters map. There's a lot of different spots that the missiles can kind of get stuck on, versus a Booyah Bomb will just nuke a whole area, and especially on the stacks is like, if you don't see it coming, it can be easy to get called out. But already, like you called out, that Lego Fortnite is taking a page out of Yokult's book and just really running away with it. They had a huge opening and they haven't slowed down yet. In the span of us talking, they have gone through 2 other checkpoints and are really knocking on the door of that 3rd one.
Yeah, I think that one shot actually being on this scope may be a little bit disadvantageous. It's harder to stay aware of your surroundings for obvious reasons when you're on scope, and of course you have that extra range in terms of it being a scope over the regular one. But I think that when everyone's everywhere all at once, that can be so tough. You see 3 members down from Yakult, and I think we might see a closing out to this entire set in just a solid sweep, an absolute lick back for that last tower game. Lego Fortnite gets the knockout.
I guess one of the things I was noticing in the beginning of the match, I wanted to point out now, which is they did opt to, not only did they bring back the wiper, then they opted for their Stamp player? One of their players, they opted for Luna Blaster. Like, I was just about to say that S-Blast would have been a great addition here, but Luna Blaster are even better because of how some of those tight quarters work. The Luna Blaster can keep the AoE, but have a little bit more presence in the close quarters area. You don't really need kind of the long range of the S-Blast. It is curious that they opted for that in the Wiper because that gives them double hammer, but it seemed to have really worked in their favor. Both of those weapons just were all over that plat and did not let up. Just continually getting those splats, even getting the trays just to keep them staggered. And like you said, just the leader was not able to kind of get out. There was nowhere for them to go. And so just eventually the rest of their team was worn down and just let that tower drift all the way into the last checkpoint.
Yeah, well, I think that Yakult definitely started with a lot of steam. Of course, it feels as though that first game was kind of stolen from under their nose. So it is a 1-3. It seems like it's just an additional game based on like from their 0-3, but I feel like that doesn't tell the complete story of how strong they necessarily played here. They put up a strong fight, but I think maybe it lost a little bit of steam heading into that zones game, kind of getting strongly knocked out. And at that point, we talk about locking out. It's very rare that you necessarily lock out on a non-zones mode due to the stationary zone, but lockout can be so nasty, and we just saw it like that right then. But
Indeed. I was say, but that will give Lego Fortnite, like, it was still a pretty close first 3 games. I think that last game just was more closer to the winners finals that we saw before, but that will give Lego Fortnite the victory for Squid Junction 99, taking home the grand prize from the grand finals.
Yes, but I believe, Imad, before we sign off and before you folks get going, we do have a bit of a trailer and an announcement to show you. So stick around. And by stick around, I mean for literally 2 seconds, no break. You will be seeing that shortly.
That's right. Take a look at this. Oh my goodness, that is it right there. Squid Junction 100 coming up in a couple of weeks now, 2 weeks now, and it will be the final Squid Junction of all Squid Junctions, the last of the last.
Yes, that is going to be, as you saw, August 23rd, 7 p.m. ET. That's 1 a.m. CEST, the last Squid Junction. The Squid Junction to end them all, number 100, will be held.
And because it's the 100, because it is the last Squid Junction, we're going to have some special things going on with this one. First of all, and I think the one that everyone will be excited for, there's a $300 prize team for the top placing teams. And first place team will receive a rare golden Squid Junction badge on Sendu.inc as well.
Yes, registration is actually now open. So if you want to get your grubby little hands on that starting prize pool of $300, then I advise you to register. But even so, I think that this is a momentous occasion. Not many tourneys make it to 100 go-throughs. So definitely sign up just for the occasion or for the rare golden squid badge.
Honestly, like, both of those are very appealing. So, and just you gotta celebrate. You gotta tip your hat to one of the greats as we send it off. Looking forward to that. But for now, this has been Squid Junction 99. Looking forward to that last one in 2 weeks, August 26th, once again. But yeah, as we finish off, where can the good
23rd,
people find you? 23rd. You're so right.
The people can find me at Sasu in your pants, SASUIN, the letters UR, pants. It is spelled incorrectly. It is not YOUR. It is the letters UR. And, you know, I will be watching Squid Junction 100 on August 23rd. So you will probably see me in chat as well. But also, Imad, where can the people find you if they want to keep up with you?
That is an amazing tag. I love it. But you can find me in all the usual places at iMadGamerII or here on Dapple with streams just as this, or over on IPL, also doing some commentary. Unfortunately, I will not be on the Squid Junction as I will be out of town, but I will also be in the chat watching it, cheering all the teams on. But thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Sasu, for being a wonderful co-host, and for Sama for streaming tonight. Appreciate you all.
Definitely big ups to Sama for all of their hard work behind the scenes, getting all those clips, doing all that work, showing that fantastic trailer for Squid Junction 100. But that is going to be it from us. I'm so glad I got to commentate with you, Imad. But the rest of you guys, finally, you be sure to register for Squid Junction 100 on August 23rd. And other than that, we're gonna get going. So stay locked in. Have a good day. Ta-ta.
Later, gamers.